Morning. Ooh. Good morning. It's time for coffee, if ever there was a time for coffee. Good morning. Y'all better cherish this morning because this is our last morning of full book club with Secret Boyfriend before he has to go back to work. You're going to miss the commentary. I know you will. Yes, thank you. I know, this is it is a trap. Going back to work is a trap, but he does have a nice job that he enjoys, so at least there's that, right? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What's everyone drinking this morning? Anything good? Anyone drinking anything good this morning? Why couldn't we all just be millionaires? I actually think that Secret Boyfriend came up with a millionaire idea the other day, and he was like, that surely has to exist, and we need to look it up to see if it really does already exist. But if he could invent this one thing that I'm not going to say out loud in case he needs to invent it, maybe we will be millionaires. Because I tell you what, he came up with pretty good idea that I think he should have manufactured, and he should go on Shark Tank with it. It's a Shark Tankable idea. It's that kind of good. I could talk to them. And then I bet that they would be... we just barely started, Nissa. You won't miss anything. But Nissa, you did miss the announcement that today is our last full day with... last full book club with Secret Boyfriend before he goes back to work. So his sitting on the couch and playing game commentary may not make it past today until his next break, which is so depressing because truly he is the hero that we all need. But we'll just be grateful that we have this last day of our commentary. Maybe we'll finish the book today. Who knows? Maybe we'll finish it so that he can round out the story with us. I bet if you guys ask, who missed yesterday? Did anyone miss yesterday? If you did, I bet if you ask really nicely, he'll give you a recap of what happened. Wow. Liz says, can we just get the recap from him anyway, even if we were here? It is pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. He did do a really good job. I was pleasantly surprised at how accurate and on point it was. Kids were supposed to go back to school and go, oh, you really weren't here, Shelly? Oh, Shelly really wasn't here. So when we sit down on the couch, Secret Boyfriend will have to give... Shelly and Secret Boyfriend have a fairly similar sense of humor anyway, so she's going to love this. They do. They have a fairly... Oh, you had yesterday off and you slept till noon. That sounds amazing, Jen. We went to the mall yesterday and walked around. It was actually really nice. You were baking until I missed the notification. That's okay. You know we love you regardless. Well, I'm just making coffee right now, and Secret Boyfriend's doing one quick thing, and then I'm sure he will come sit with us, because I think secretly he loves book club more than he wants to admit.
I do love book club. I didn't say it.
I know. I was just being funny. I think book club is for everybody, actually. I really believe that. I really believe that. Book club for all. There's something really just so lovable about book club. It's such a great time. Here's your coffee, honey. I had to go get told oh no! I went to the gym this morning and I may never walk again. We need to go to the gym later. We're going to do that later today. My New Year's resolution is to actually read more books, so let's see. Oh, do it! That was my New Year's resolution last year, and I totally did it. That's right, Christy. That's right. Even when you've missed most of the book because you get Secret Boyfriend recaps. Secret Boyfriend recap time. I just made you a jingle. Did you like it? Yeah, that was a pretty good jingle, right? I read 59 last year, so the goal of 60 this year. I think your goal should be 65, Liz, and I know you can do it. I know it. know how many books I read last year. I have to count. Stretch goal. Yeah. I bought 2 books in the series I started last year. I'm going to finish 1 book in a month. That's amazing. I love that. Love it. Love, love, love it. That counts as 15? Nice. Writing a book counts as reading 15. Whoa, I did so good. I finished my coffee, but now I can't get up to make another cup because I'm too tired. That's the opposite of what coffee's supposed to do. I started Peloton rental, completed 2 workouts so far, and I love it. That's amazing. My sister's a Peloton person. Last year I read 113 books. This year I want my goal. You should make it 130. My sister is a huge Peloton person. I don't know what you would call it. Like, I don't know. She's just really into it, is all I'm saying. She loves it.
Pelotoner.
Pelotoner. Is that what they call them?
Nah.
Your coffee's right there, darling. All right. We got coffee. It is time to finish off Maddie's journey. Can you believe we're going to say goodbye to Maddie? When I was 10, I would remember. Yeah, I mean, that happens to a lot of people, Des, because, like, you just, you know, you go to school and they start picking books you don't like, and then you're annoyed, and then you don't read for a while, and then you grow up and you realize that it's not the books that are bad, it's the ones that the teachers were choosing that were bad. I know, Amanda, I know. But Amanda, tell me that Secret Boyfriend's color commentary hasn't made it amazing. Right? I mean, if the book is not your cup of tea, that I can understand, but you gotta believe in the color commentary. It is the best part, I agree. And we're really almost done. We could probably finish it pretty quick this morning. And then tomorrow we can start Land of Stories, which will be really exciting. Babe, I think some people are interested in a recap from you.
I was sitting here desperately trying to remember what happened yesterday.
You know what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I'm starting to...
I can tell you what happened the day before if it's helpful. Remember? The day before we thought she died.
Yeah.
We did. We thought she was dead.
Okay. Let me situate myself here.
They're going, please remember.
Okay.
So.
Last we left our love-struck heroine, Maddie.
Yeah? With
Maddie,
2 T's, by the way.
It's T's. I thought
It's TTIE.
Honestly, I thought it was T's.
Yeah, well, it sounds the same when you say it, right?
Yeah. She had been assaulted by a skier and went into the woods and played slalom for a little bit.
Like that.
And then she smashed into a tree and shattered
like
her
Sonny
ankle
Bono.
into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, her name is Maddie, Mittie. That's right, yeah.
I thought it was D's.
I think they all thought it was D's too. They're all going, what?
And she opened up a cut, which shouldn't have opened up because it was long healed, unless she's, has other medical problems that maybe.
What if she's got that
should be
problem
looked
that
into.
the Tsar's little boy had?
Then she's
What's that called?
She's a goner.
She's a goner. Oh no.
Hemoglobin.
Des goes, oh no. She doesn't really have that. That's not real. That's not part of the story. But she did open up a gash in her forehead.
Yes. So
from
she
her
got a concussion.
accident.
She got a concussion. She shattered her ankle.
Yeah.
And she thought she was a goner.
Yeah.
And she went to sleep with a concussion. By the way, She tried to keep herself up by
fell asleep on the mountain.
Eating snow or whatever it was.
Yeah, she smashed snow into her face to keep herself awake.
She just fell asleep.
Yeah.
Our boy didn't find her.
Did not find her.
I thought it was gonna be some magical moment.
I know, we all thought that.
Some random bros found her.
Yeah. No, it wasn't random bros. They were EMTs, babe.
No, they were snow bros.
They weren't snow bros.
They were snow mountain rescuer bros.
Yeah, rescue bros. EMTs. EMTs are rescue bros, babe.
They're still bros.
Yeah, you're right.
Bros.
Yeah.
And those guys are the real heroes of the story.
Of course, they found her. No, Jen, he didn't even find her. The rescue boys found her.
She doesn't fall in love with them, even though they saved her.
I know, right? I think that you should,
Yeah, for
personally.
real.
If someone carries you off a mountain,
Snowboard bro went back inside the lodge, got a hot chocolate, relaxed, and you know.
Jen said, I missed one day and it went off the rails.
No, he was looking for her.
He was looking for her, but he did not find her.
No, love did not find a way.
Love did
in this
not find a
instance.
way.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, no good.
No
Really.
good.
So, flash, but she wakes up,
Yeah,
hospital,
right.
and this doctor is talking about some husband that wants to see her. And Sasha was incensed.
I was
That
incensed.
a doctor could even make that assumption.
I was.
But it turns out he's a liar boy.
Lying boy.
And you would think that the doctor would be like, or the reception or the nurses would be like, well, let's see your ID.
Yeah, but what if you have different last names? ID doesn't work for marriage.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. What if someone doesn't take the other person's
Yeah.
last name?
Shit.
Yeah.
Anywho, they didn't believe him for obvious reasons.
Nissa thinks it's a missed opportunity to not fall in love with the snowboard bros.
Yeah, see? It is.
Yeah.
It is. But, you know, as I predicted, you know, he wants to nurse her back to health. Because
Right.
she has concussion.
You
She
did
can't-
predict that.
She can't be alone.
No, of course not.
She can't be alone.
No.
Someone needs to keep her up all night, even with a shattered ankle. Well, that have to be a gentle boy. But so they release her with this guy, which is wild.
It
I'm
is
surprised.
wild, actually.
That's surprising.
That
At
is
some
super
point, you gotta have
surprising.
some proof.
Yeah.
Because she has her brain is
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
And this some random dude came in and he's like, "She's mine." And
Right.
they're like, "Here you go."
Wackadoodle.
Here you go.
Yeah, could be bad. You have
Yeah,
a concussion
no.
and she's being
The
released to some
protocols of this
rando.
hospital need to be revisited.
Yeah.
I think.
It's
I think.
maybe not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's our we're
Yeah.
washing some laundry.
I shouldn't have turned it on.
Yeah, Nikki's like, my ER nurse mentality is so mad at this. We were mad too. No,
Yeah.
it's not just you.
Okay, so he takes her back home, sort of caveman style.
To his house.
You know, underneath.
Not
his
to
arms.
her house.
Yeah. To his house, of course.
To his
yes.
house, which apparently is cozy.
So cozy.
So
It's
cozy.
So romantic. It's
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah.
Even though he won't.
Weird. But weird, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
how many single snowboard bros do you know with a cute, cozy, romantic home?
Well, I think he inherited it from his parents.
Oh, and he just left it cozy.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So now he is currently nursing her. She called her parents. Her dad is like, "Who's this guy?"
Yep.
Her mom's like, "Ooh, is he hot?"
Yep.
Which is wild.
Yep.
But I
Wild
don't
choices.
know. Moms can be like that sometimes. I
It's
guess.
true. Have you met my mother?
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yep.
And where do we leave off?
They got into the same bed.
Oh,
and
yeah.
went
and
to
he's
sleep.
like, he failed at his only job.
Yep.
He was supposed to keep
Supposed
her
to
up.
keep her up because she's
She
got
has
a
a
concussion.
They went to sleep?
Fail boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeezy Pete's.
Yeah, I'm really worried about the hospital protocol in this town.
Yeah, no, this boy.
Becca goes, yeah, Dreamboat. Have you met her mother? It's true.
Dream Schooner is what I like to go with.
Dream schooner. My mother lives in a 1950s paradise in her mind, and secret boyfriend to her is just a dreamboat. Right, that's a great question. Yeah, Jen brings up a really interesting point. He's a famous snowboarder in this small town. How do they not know him by face?
Well,
At the hospital.
Even in like a relatively small city.
A famous snowboarder lives in your town and you don't know what he looks like when you live in a ski town? It's
Yes.
not LA we're talking about.
Yeah, but also, if you don't care, I mean, just because you live in this town doesn't mean you care about snow sports.
For sure, but like, he's probably broken an ankle a time or two himself, and so he's probably been in the hospital.
Yeah.
Hey, Jenny.
I just feel like that's reasonable to not know that he's not like famous.
He was an Olympic snowboarder.
Nobody cares about the Winter Olympics, babe. What is happening here? Raise your hands if you've ever, like, what's the last time you watched the Winter Olympics? You've never watched the Winter Olympics.
That's
I
true.
know
I've
that.
never watched the Winter Olympics.
I bet most of you, if you have watched it, you realize very quickly, why am I watching this?
The Olympics people are mad at you right now. We're gonna get canceled
Well,
by the
we have a
Olympics
bunch
people.
of Jamaican bobsledders in here, or what?
Can we get a poll? Who has or has not watched the Winter Olympics? Liz said she always watches, and the only snowboarder she could ever identify is Shaun White.
Yeah, and that guy sucks.
Does he?
Yeah.
What does he look like? Most of these people have never watched anything but
He has
figure
red
skating.
hair.
He's probably someone's husband. Like, yeah. Like some football player husband who thinks he's more famous than his wife. Yeah. Screw that guy.
Yeah.
Didn't like that guy at all.
No, he sucks.
Definitely not more known than whatever that girl's name is, who I also don't know.
She's so famous. What's her name?
I can know her by face, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't remember her. Not Gabby. Simone Biles. That's the one. Simone Biles is definitely more famous than her third string husband.
Oh, third string husband.
That was good, right? You
I
like
like
that?
that a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
pulled out
that's
some
good.
lingo for that one.
Yeah.
I learned lingo so that now I can offend the football boys.
It's
If you
true.
call one of them third string, you know they're not good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true.
It's true. Although,
You know what? Well, you know what? Call him practice squad. It's even
ooh,
worse.
practice squad husband. Not even good. You don't even make it to the field. You're so
No,
lame.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're in reserve if 3 other guys get hurt.
Yikes. 3 guys have to get hurt for you to even show your
Well,
face.
it depends on the position. It could just be 2, or even 1 actually.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It works anyway. It's still an insult. You didn't make the cut. Amanda's like, ooh, look at you knowing sports stuff. Practice squad slander. All right, so we're gonna read now because we need to. We want. I believe this from. I've watched and I couldn't identify. I have new. The next book. I was just about to talk about that.
You guys
Lynn,
want to hear
so
something wild?
yeah, but 2 seconds before I forget, we are hoping to start Land of Stories tomorrow in answer to your question. Land of Stories book 5, which book 4 left us on a cliffhanger. What's wild? Go ahead. We do want to hear it.
America was going to adopt the metric system way back in founding father times.
Sure.
France sent us a boat full of the standard measurements and like weights and all that stuff for the metric system, and pirates sunk the boat. And that's why we're still in the system we are today.
Is that true?
I mean, I just read it.
If that's true, someone better write a novel about this.
That's a great story.
It's a great story. I love stories like that. I love the butterfly effect. Like the world went wild because of one situation.
Like Thomas Jefferson, was having a son over.
Of course
from
he was.
France.
He's obsessed with France.
And he was like, we're gonna be one of the first countries to adopt this, and then pirates were like, that's off us. Like they sent over like a scientist and like all the like standard weights and measurements and all that, and then like some pirates were like,
So I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I am obsessed with the Bermuda Triangle. And in my heart, what I want actually is for the pirates to have taken that stuff and for it to get sent into the Bermuda Triangle, and that's why it never made it to America. That's what I want to have
and that
happened.
like pops out in like
One day.
2024.
Yeah.
And, like,
I wrote a kid's
and
book
like the
about the
scientist
Bermuda
is like, it's
Triangle.
time to learn the metric system.
Actually, do you want to draw my kid's book about the Bermuda Triangle?
Sure.
Yeah, I have a story that I wrote when I was in high school, and it's a good story. It's about a penguin,
Uh-huh.
and he ends up accidentally going into the Bermuda Triangle and releasing all the pirates from forever. It's very funny.
I like that.
Yeah, and then
By
a
the
whole
way,
bunch of
I
other
mean,
hijinks happen.
Obviously, we can't read this now, but just as a preview for breakfast.
Yeah,
There's Am I the Asshole?
yeah.
I don't know if they
Do you guys know about this? We're obsessed. Go ahead.
It's Am I the Asshole for calling my 23F husband 23M an insult?
Yep. Yep.
Maybe.
Maybe. So there's a Reddit that basically people just like ask if they're in the wrong, and they're
And
always
it's
wild.
always
And we're
wild.
obsessed with
It's
reading
like
him.
the most like trashy basic. It's basically like watching all
Who
those
knows,
like
Becca?
daytime trashy TV shows, but
You like it, Jen? Yeah, we're into it. We always look for the really wild ones. You guys do too. We should share them. Anyone who's also into them, feel free to share them in our chat, and we'll also share good ones that we find because some of them are, whoa, wowzer. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so everyone in here is addicted to it too. It's not just us.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
James reads them on car rides. Yes. Okay. They are so wild sometimes. Kyle sends them to you. That makes sense. Yeah. We read them.
Let's sit on the couch and I'll start reading one.
He'll be like, wait, get this. It's so bad, but so good. They're so good. Yeah, it's interesting. You do have to wonder. There's a podcaster who reads them. Oh, that's cool. That would be fun to listen to. Because sometimes I look at them and I'm like, this one's too long. I can't get into it. But
that's a good podcast.
a good podcast, yeah.
It's endless fun. I mean, that's basically what the Big Bang was. Just like reading, like things like that.
Yeah.
But not from like Reddit.
There's also TikToks of people reading them. I believe that. Yeah. That's a great idea, actually. I get clips on my For You page. That's amazing. 2 Hot Takes is a great Am I the Asshole podcast. Nice. Okay, good to know. Yes, our washer is having a moment.
I should have turned it on.
It's okay. Give it a second to get through whatever it's going through. I don't know. We will read. I'm so glad that you all are just as into this as we are, because we are. There's one called Dusty Thunder, 2 Hot Takes, and Beyond Beautiful. Hey, Ray. So, yeah, sometimes they're insane. Sometimes the people you're like, what? Yeah, it is the rinse cycle, for sure. All right, so. It's coming to the end of its pitiful rope. Here we go. We are on chapter 23. We are almost done. I believe in us. We can do this today, friends. Yeah, the toxic mothers are insane. Here we go. Chapter 23. It felt like I had only blinked, but the light was already seeping into the room the next time I partially opened my eyes. Squinting, I turned over to find that Giles had once again already vacated the bed. Must scared him off in my sleep, I muttered. And then the smell hit me. Bacon. It was wafting up the stairs and through the open bedroom door. I sat up and stretched my arms over my head before dropping them quickly and wincing. I felt like I'd been in a car accident. My entire body was stiff, and when I lifted my shirt, I found dozens of bruises dotting my body. My snowboarding career was definitely over. I hobbled over to my crutches and awkwardly made my way to the stairs. Once there, I assessed my best course of action. Never having used crutches before, I did not feel confident in my ability to wield them properly on a staircase. Thankfully, Giles popped his head around the banister just a few moments into my deliberation. I thought I heard something. What do you think you're doing? Trying to figure out how to get down these stairs without falling and winding up right back in the hospital. Snickering, he climbed the stairs and placed one hand on my waist before taking my crutches and leaning them against the wall. Ready? You don't have to carry me. Oof! Mid-protest, Giles lifted me into his arms and carried me down the stairs. He dropped me off at the bench by his front door and ran back for my crutches. You know, I've got to wear this thing for like 6 weeks. I need to learn how to fend for myself without you transferring me everywhere. I don't mind. He flashed me a grin and my heart flipped. Before I could shuffle over to the couch, there was a knock at the door. That's probably Aaron and Johnny. They wanted to stop by yesterday, but I told them you needed a rest. You did? My heart sputtered at his thoughtfulness. He opened the door and immediately had to move out of the way as Aaron burst through. Oh my God, Maddie, I'm so sorry. She flung her arms around my neck and I patted her back. I should never have left you alone. I thought you were right behind me and then we couldn't find you and your phone was going straight to voicemail. It was so scary. Can you ever forgive me? I waved her off. There's nothing to apologize for. It's not your fault. You know, you could have kept a better eye on her, Giles gruffly chimed in. We know, Johnny said, also stepping over to give me a quick hug, and we're sorry. Was it just me, or was he talking mostly to Giles? You know, you could have always gone with us, I teased Giles. Maybe you should have kept a better eye on me. Instead of smiling, he looked at me grimly. You're right, I should have. I rolled my eyes. All right, everyone, stop feeling guilty right now. It's no one's fault, and I'm fine. Are you both staying for breakfast? Aaron nodded and thrust a plate she was holding under my nose. And I brought cookies! I glanced down at them. They had frosted, frowny faces and I'm sorry written on them. I sighed. Let's just eat. For saying he wasn't much of a cook, Giles's pancakes and bacon were delicious. We all scarfed down our plates in record time. Johnny had brought me an old phone to use, which I thanked him for profusely. And we had an idea for the lounge, Erin said as she grabbed everyone's plates and started to rinse them in the sink. Since Thanksgiving is next week, we were thinking that we could do a locals night for anyone that can make it. Everyone from town can come and see the place. Of course, any guests that we have staying can come too, but it should be a really fun practice run, right? That sounds great, I said absentmindedly. Time had completely started to slip away from me here, and I hadn't even realized it was almost Thanksgiving. This would be the first holiday ever away from home. A pang of homesickness hit my heart. Giles eyed me and cleared his throat. And thanks for coming over, but I think Maddie should probably rest. Oh, no, of course, man. Johnny stood. We'll see you soon. And Maddie, I'm sorry again. Nothing to be sorry for. I smiled and gave them both a hug as they headed out of the kitchen. I breathed a sigh of relief when the door to the front of the house shut. Social battery a little lower than usual? Giles asked. Definitely. Plus, What? He encouraged me to continue when I trailed off. I forgot it was Thanksgiving next week. I shrugged. Just feeling a little homesick, I guess. He nodded. Is this the longest you've ever gone without seeing your family? My parents, yes. My sister lives in a different city, so we've gone months without seeing each other before, but we've always been together for every big holiday. Do you wish you were going back? I thought about it for a moment before shaking my head. Not really. I'm pretty happy being here. He walked over and kissed my forehead. I'm pretty happy you're here too. I could get used to this. When do you have to work today? I asked him as he continued to clean up. I took the day off. Giles, you do not have to do that for me, okay? I'm fine. Maybe I just wanted an excuse to spend more time with you. I bit my lip to hide the grin that was threatening to break out on my face. Had I ever felt this giddy with Garrett? It was hard to imagine. We spent the rest of the day playing games, eating leftover takeout, and being completely housebound. Giles just wasn't good at snowboarding and darts. Giles wasn't just good at snowboarding or darts. He seemed he had a complete knack for anything competitive since he completely smoked me in every game we played. This isn't even fun, I said after losing 5 games of Rummy in a row. You're merciless. What, do you just want me to let you win? He teased. Kinda, yeah. Don't be a sore loser. He laid down the remainder of his cards that showed had crushed me again. Want to play something else? I refused to lose another game, so I finally convinced him to watch a movie instead. Oh boy. We snuggled up on the couch. Sighing, I felt a wave of happiness settle over me. I was so comfortable in his arms that my eyes quickly drifted closed. It felt right to be here with him. It didn't feel like we had just met. To think that I thought I'd be planning my wedding to Garrett right now, but instead I was wrapped up in someone else's arms. Someone completely better in every way imaginable. Maybe I shouldn't be falling this fast, but he was making it impossible to catch myself.
She's a sore loser.
She's a sore loser? Oh, yeah, she's a sore loser. Yeah, sorry, I missed it for a second, but I hear you. My goodness, that thing has a lot going on. Just give it a second. We'll just give it a moment. All right, friends. Predictions for the next chapter? So
I have a prediction.
Tell me.
I'm saying beep boop a lot.
You think I'm gonna beep boop? The next chapter is short, so perhaps I could be beep booping a lot. It's only 3 pages.
Oh.
But my question is, what's the resolution here? She just stays in the town? I don't know, Becca.
Is her contract almost up at this place?
Yeah. I thought she only had a 3-month contract. Did I imagine that?
He's gonna follow her.
He's gonna fly her parents in for Thanksgiving. That's a good guess. Is there a second book? No, there's no second book. Since no beep boop now, maybe in the next chapter. She'll be a kept woman. The washer might be off balance. Yeah, it was a 3-month trial. Okay, Jen, thank you for the confirmation. All right, well, let's read and we'll see what happens in this next very, very short chapter.
What does that mean?
Like, married, I guess?
Let me see.
You bet he flies there with her? Oh, he's gonna go to Florida? Snowboarder boy's gonna go to Florida?
I know.
They're gonna stay in Key Ridge.
Out of water.
They're gonna stay in Key Ridge. And they're gonna inherit the inn and live happily ever after, although it should be Johnny's. Jessica goes, blast off! She has to run the inn, so they're definitely staying there. Yeah, I think so.
They're going to ask her to take over the inn. She's going to quit her job to take over the inn.
The aunt is going to give them the inn to run for sure, that's my guess. They're going to have a kid together and get married. They're definitely going to stay in Key Ridge because she loves that place and it's his home. Your neighbors are thankful you don't run this at night. I don't think they can hear it. Our place is pretty quiet, actually. We never hear anyone except for the kid upstairs who we think might have died because we haven't heard from them in a while.
Shucks. Ah, jeez, guys.
Ah, beans.
Ah, beans.
Okay, everyone's response is making me think maybe we should put a maintenance request in for
Yeah,
our washer because they are incensed. All right, are we ready? Thank you, Anya. I'm glad you liked that joke. We're just not sure. We haven't heard from them since before we left for the holiday. So, yeah. Anyway, chapter 24. This looks amazing, I exclaimed in awe, taking in the new lounge. After 2 nights at Giles' house, I decided it was finally time to get back to the lodge and back to work. He had tried to protest, but when I called Bev behind his back and begged her to pick me up, he finally relented and drove me here himself. I was still hobbling... Holding her captive.
Oh my god. Toxic.
Yeah, the maintenance people will fix it if it's just off balance. It should be fine, right? It's not going to be hard to fix. We have very nice maintenance
They'll
people.
just replace it.
Yeah. Or just fix it.
Yeah, but they usually stuff it.
Yeah, we needed to have the handle on the fridge tightened anyway. Maybe you can do it all in one fell swoop. New year, new appliances. He had tried to blah, 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 blah. I was still hobbling around and getting used to the uncomfortable crutches, but at least there was a seat behind the front desk that I could use. When Bev saw the two of us walking in together, Giles hovering next to me to ensure I didn't slip, she immediately greeted us with an, "I knew it." "You did not," Giles insisted. "I did too." "I didn't even know." Bev howled with laughter at that. "Yeah, right." He ducked his head before changing the subject. "So this lounge, huh? It looks pretty great." "And Erin came by yesterday to do some work in the kitchen. She's got a great, easy menu that we'll be able to pull off. Tasty, but nothing fancy." Bev surveyed the lounge with pride. "Also, what name are we going with? I was thinking about having Johnny make a sign for over the door." "The lounge?" Giles suggested. "What about Marie's?" I asked nervously and snuck a glance at Giles' face after suggesting a name with naming the restaurant after his late mother. Instead of tensing next to me, he threw his arm over my shoulder and pulled me in, kissing me lightly on the top of my head. "That's perfect." "It is perfect. Good idea, Maddie. Your mom would have loved this place." Bev patted Giles on the back. "Thanksgiving's only 2 days away. Are we ready to host all those people?" I asked. "I think we'll be able to manage. We've got a few local kids who agreed to work here on the weekends when we open for real." We continued to discuss the details, and I tried my best to remain on task but not distracted. But it was tough when Giles was rubbing my shoulders and forcing me to lean into him. When we were in the bubble of his house, he had been very affectionate with me, but I wasn't sure how it would translate out here. In his family's lodge, the whole reason he said starting something between the two of us wasn't a good idea. Apparently, he had changed his tune because here he was, clearly showing anyone that took the time to look at us that there was something here. And I couldn't have been happier about it. Scene break.
Boom.
In a 3-page chapter, a scene break is an interesting choice.
Well, sometimes.
It's only 3 pages.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. Hours later, nighttime had descended on the lodge. I was seated in one of the armchairs by the roaring fire. Erin, Johnny, and Giles were surrounded by the small table, and we were laughing hysterically, over a game of Pictionary that had taken a turn. "That in no way resembles taking a dog for a walk," Erin said through tears. "What are you talking about?" I insisted. "There's a leash and there's a dog." I pointed at each with my marker. "That's supposed to be a dog?" Johnny held up the picture and turned it sideways. "Leave her alone," Giles smirked. "Games are not Maddie's strong suit." I threw the marker at his head and laughed when it made contact. "Hey, I resent that. Just because you're perfect at everything doesn't mean I'm bad." "We should probably call it a night," Johnny said, stretching his arms over his head and yawning. Involuntarily, I found myself yawning as well. Agreed. This is the most activity I've had since the accident. We cleaned up the area we were seated in and said goodnight to Johnny and Erin. After they had walked out the front door, Giles scratched the back of his neck and darted his eyes around nervously. "So, did you want to go back to your place, or?" My cheeks flushed. I hadn't really wanted to leave him, but I knew that after spending 2 nights at his place already. "Oh, yeah, that's fine," I said at the same time that Giles said, "Or you could just stay with me." I giggled nervously. "That's okay. It'll be good to get some fresh clothes. Yeah, there's some stuff I should probably get done tonight." He scratched his stubble. Let me just walk you back." I carefully maneuvered my crutches over the icy walkway to Bev's and successfully made it up my stairs with minimal assistance from Giles. "I'm getting pretty good with these," I smiled up at him. "Good night, Maddie." He dipped his head so that it was level with mine and gave me a sweet and lingering kiss. "I'll see you tomorrow, okay?" "See you tomorrow." Oh, sorry, wrong voice. "See you tomorrow." I waved at him and closed the door. Sorry. Sometimes it's hard to know who's...
You know what? Next chapter, switch the voices around.
Oh my god, can you imagine? What a world. Hey, Valerie, thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. My apartment didn't feel quite as homey now that I knew what staying at Giles felt like. I changed into a pair of black sweatpants and collapsed on the couch. Flipping channels, I wound up finding the same rom-com we'd watched the other night. Smiling, I took a picture and sent it to Giles. How was it possible that I was already waiting for the next time that I get to see him? Is this what falling in love again felt like? Not being able to get enough of him? Saying goodbye and just impatiently waiting for the next hello? I groaned. I had it so bad. A knock sounded at the door, causing me to jump. Could it be Bev this late? Not bothering with my crutches, I hobbled over and cracked the door open to peek out. Giles was standing there. Grinning, I opened the door wider. What are you doing here? He held up his phone. I saw you were watching my favorite movie. Do you want to come in? He nodded and I laughed. He grabbed me around my waist and pulled me back onto the couch, and I settled into his chest and bit back a smile. With that lame excuse to come back over, maybe he had it just as bad as I had.
He's got it bad.
He's got it bad. All right. An email. Maddie, you never got back to me on those resumes that I sent over for your replacement in Colorado. I took the liberty of moving the next most qualified candidate through. I had a few other people from the firm meet with him, and he's perfect for the job. The trial run is up on Monday after Thanksgiving, so we'll want to meet with Bev as soon as possible to get her acquainted with your replacement. He's already local to the area and can start immediately. Please get back to me ASAP. Mike. That's her boss, for anyone who hasn't been here. Her boss is emailing her. So apparently the 3 months is pretty much over. In a week.
And she's not responding to work emails?
Yikes!
Yikes.
Bad luck, Maddie. Just because you got in an accident doesn't mean you don't respond. This is America, not Italy.
This is America, not Italy.
Did I break you?
Are Italians especially known for not responding to emails?
I mean, French people are actually the ones known for not responding to emails.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't even have to be sick. You just choose not to go to work if you're French. They're just like, but I'm a little tired. But I'm a little tired.
Fires the missiles.
Yeah, the email was from way before her accident. That's true. Shirking her responsibility. She should get fired.
Yeah, no. Reprimand at the very least.
At the bare minimum.
It's going
That
on
email, considering how she hasn't been responding, that email was pretty nice.
Yeah.
In France, they aren't allowed. It's the law. It's true. They don't have to answer emails on the weekend, or they can't like ask their people to answer emails on the weekend in France.
Sure,
It's true.
Where you're creating nowhere.
Yeah. No, you can't. You can't in France. It's different.
It's illegal. They'll hunt you down if you answer an email.
No, to ask your employees to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
You want to move to France? I don't. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not gonna lie. France isn't my cup of tea. I've been 3 times. 2 times? Two times.
I've been 0 times.
You have a pal who lives in Paris? Really? Does she like it? She, he, it? You hated Paris? Me too. I liked other parts of France better than Paris, but I don't love them, and the food is really
Heavy.
too heavy for me.
That's surprising, but you couldn't find non-heavy food though.
Yeah, I struggled to eat in France. It was very difficult for me to eat in France. Which is a bummer. Anyway, let's keep reading. Gnawing at my lip, I reread Mike's email. It was unlike me to blow off job duties like reviewing resumes, but it was easier for me to pretend like it wasn't real. Like I didn't have a replacement coming to take over for me. Like I wasn't going back to Florida. My heart physically ached at the
Gross.
thought. What was waiting for me back there? I had no apartment, no boyfriend, no friends, no life, really. Key Ridge felt like home right now. It felt like where I belonged. And Giles was someone I did not want to leave behind. But what if he thought it was too early to be having those thoughts? Yes, I love this town, but I'd be lying if I said staying here wasn't primarily motivated by our budding relationship. I had spent the past week avoiding this dilemma by pretending it didn't exist, but I didn't want to leave and never get the chance to know what Giles and I could become. I probably should have talked to him about this, but I was too afraid of what he might say. What if he told me to go back? What's that? Bev asked, hovering behind me. Nothing. I closed out of the email, but I feared that she might have already read the highlights. My boss hired a replacement for me and wanted me to let you know. Despite my desire to keep this quiet, I figured I couldn't find a way to talk to Giles about it. Until I could figure out a way to talk to Giles about it, my duty was to do my job, was still too strong, and I had to tell Bev. She gave me a disapproving look. I gazed down at my cast, not wanting to meet her eyes. You sure you want to get out of here so soon? Not really, I whispered. Well, then you should probably figure something out. But, I hesitated. Bev raised her eyebrows and leaned against the desk, waiting for me to go on. Giles and I, we aren't really anything. Not really. The whole thing between us just started. I cringed at how unprofessional I sounded, but right now, I just needed advice from the aunt of a guy who I really, really liked. How can I stay for him? Wouldn't I come across as desperate? She sighed. It's not my place to tell you what to do, but what I can tell you is that the spark in Giles' eyes was completely dead until you came into this town. Maybe you two did just start dating, but whatever it is you kids call it these days, you never know what it could become if you don't stick around to find out. Every forever has a beginning. What if this is yours? My heart swelled at the thought. I thanked her for the advice and she patted me on the shoulder before leaving me alone at the front desk. Pondering her words, I thought about the best way to handle the situation. One thing was for sure, leaving did not feel like a viable option. Hey, Claire. Scene break. All right, just a little bit further. Giles's arms were around my waist as I took another careful step forward. He had insisted on blindfolding me as we exited his house. Apparently there was some big surprise that he wanted to show me. Giles, this is silly. I'm gonna fall and break my neck. I've got you, he insisted, squeezing my waist. Okay, you can take it off. I kept one hand on my crutch and used the other to remove the makeshift blindfold he had fashioned out of a shirt. Oh my God! I squealed with delight. In front of the house was one small, ornate carriage being pulled by 2 white horses. This is just like the movies. I figured you would say that, he said, grinning from ear to ear in delight. He grabbed the crutches from me and put them into the carriage before helping me into the seat. There was already a fleece blanket awaiting us. He tucked me in carefully before cozying up next to me and sliding his arms around my shoulders. All right, Dave, he said to the older man sitting in the driver's seat of the carriage. Can you take the scenic route? You got it, Giles. Is that the bartender from the Ridge? I whispered. It's his side hustle in the winter, Giles winked at me. Snow was falling softly onto the ground, and the night was lit brightly by the moon. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. I kissed Giles on the cheek before he turned to face me and kissed me back squarely on the mouth. I just wanted to make sure you weren't too homesick for Thanksgiving. Plus, you should have at least a few fond memories of the snow, he teased. I like snow, he raised his eyebrow. Because it treated you so well since you've been here? It hasn't been so bad. The storm causing the power outage worked out in my favor. Mine too, he smiled. I'm so excited to see Marie's open tonight. It's gonna be packed, he nodded. Yeah, I wish my parents could see it. I snaked one arm behind him and the other arm across his stomach before giving him a big hug. Me too, I murmured. I hope they would have liked it. They would have loved it. The past couple of days had been perfect. There was nothing better than that magical feeling at the beginning of a relationship when you couldn't get enough of each other. I had already decided that there was no way that I could leave him, but I didn't want to tell him that. I was still nervous about scaring him off. It seemed like it was going amazing right now, but what if he was fully planning on us just saying our goodbyes whenever I left for Florida? He hadn't so much as mentioned the topic of my imminent departure. I tried not to overthink it, but what if he cared? Shouldn't he be more concerned that I was supposed to be leaving? I shook the intrusive thought from my mind. I wasn't giving him the option of getting rid of me. Once I told Mike about Marie's opening and the lodge being sold out for December, he agreed that it made sense for me to stay on for now. When he asked when I'd be ready to come back to Florida, I told him I wasn't sure I wanted to. He wasn't pleased to hear that, but I guess the PM department had been running relatively smoothly in my absence, so he didn't have too much to fight me on. Giles rested his chin on top of my head. Guilt washed over me. I should have mentioned all this to him, but I was too worried that he would talk me out of it. To me, this felt like an epic love story. What if to him, this was just some seasonal romance? We're here. He squeezed my shoulders as we arrived at the lodge. Giles jumped out of the carriage and came around to my side to help me out. I was less than graceful with my crutches, but he managed to make helping me look effortless. Instead of coming through the main entrance to the lodge, we arrived to the back parking lot that was adjoined to the street that led to the ski hill. This would be the main entrance to Marie's. A sign now hung above the doors. It looks great. Giles ruffled my hair. What?
What?
He ruffled her hair.
That look is amazing.
That's something you do to children. You don't ruffle your girlfriend's hair. I'm sorry, you just don't.
Let me ruffle your hair.
Don't do it.
Let me love you.
I can't. Like, that's something that I would do to, like, Zoe. I mean, baby.
You ruffle my hair.
No, I play with your hair. There's a difference. I don't ruffle your hair.
I feel like we were just splitting hairs.
If anyone ruffles my hair, they're going to see hands. Thank you, Claire. I appreciate your support in this
They're
matter.
gonna see
Play with
hands.
hair, yes. Ruffle, no. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. You do that to... Of course you do it to Ellie. Ellie's 4. That makes perfect sense. She's your daughter and she's 4. I support you in ruffling her hair. I would also ruffle Ellie's hair. She's not even my daughter. He ruffled my hair and my chest swelled with pride at his approval. I combined swelled and pride. Swide.
She swelled with pride?
She did. At
Over
his
the
approval.
ruffling?
No, at his approval.
Oh, okay.
As soon as we opened the door, we were met with warmth, loud conversation, and delicious smells. The place was already packed with a boisterous crowd. "Giles, Maddie, over here!" Johnny shouted from across the room. He was supposed to be the informal host for the evening, and it appeared he was taking his informal aspect very seriously. Bev was already seated at our table, and Erin was standing next to her in an apron. "Maddie!" She greeted me with a hug, and I tried my best to return it around my crutches. "Hey, how's everything going?" "Well, so far so good. I've got everything prepped and ready to go. Do you need help with any—" "Shh," Erin cooed. "You just sit and relax. You've done enough." Honestly, I don't really think she's done anything.
No, she's done very little.
We're reading Key Ridge. We're almost done. Giles pulled out a chair for me and helped me sit down before taking my crutches. Beaming, I looked around at the finished lodge. The artwork popped against the dark walls, and the chairs and tables looked great, especially the long one that we had thrifted at that took center stage. Even the neon sign behind the bar was a perfect touch. There was a small crowd of 20-something girls taking turns posing for a picture underneath it. "It looks perfect in here," I gushed. "Doesn't it?" Erin said. "The whole town is buzzing about it." Oh. Claire wasn't here and she needs a recap. A very short, she wants a 2-sentence recap of the last 2 days. She said 1 sentence, but she missed 2 days. I'm giving you 2 days.
Okay.
Give her 2 sentences. Go. You can do it. I know you can. 2 sentences.
So much pressure. Okay. Maddie and Snowboard Boy got together. They beep booped. She went skiing with him, snowboarding, whatever. A skier pushed her off the hill. She went into the woods, broke her leg, ankle,
Concussion.
whatever. Brain totally mush. Goner, basically. She's drooling. She's an invalid. And then he doesn't find her. Some other random dudes find her. He claims to be her husband. Oh my god, lying. Possibly gonna go to jail for this lie, I assume, at some point. Takes her back home like a caveman, essentially. Steals her from the hospital, basically. And
He didn't
now
make
that
that
her
hurt.
brain is mush, she is basically shirking her job, and she's obsessed with him, or Stockholm syndrome. I don't know, but either way, it seems like it's gonna work out with these 2 kids.
That's what you missed.
I don't know. It seems pretty accurate, actually.
It does. Okay. That's what you missed.
Questions? Concerns?
Tiffany said, "Watch this all be a dream," and she's still in the hospital with a concussion. She's gonna wake up. You know
That's
what?
my favorite thing. If I ever write a really good book, I'm gonna ruin it at the end with it was all a dream thing just for the lulz.
Yes. Yes. Claire said, "I was gone for 2 days and they really jumped the shark."
He jumped the shark.
Shira has a lot of concerns.
Yes.
Thank you for the follow, Christmas
Me too,
2024. It feels like you've got a long way to go.
Wait, say this again?
Someone with the account name Christmas 2024 just followed me and I said they have a long way to go.
They're very excited.
I'm excited for it.
Me too. I can't wait.
All right, let's keep reading and see if she wakes up.
It was all a dream. Don't go towards the light, Maddie.
Bev nodded. "It's great to see this place alive again." And then she turned her attention to Giles and me. "So, did you 2 come together?" I blushed at her forwardness, but Giles waved her off. "Don't give Maddie a hard time." "Come on, spill," Erin said. I smirked and looked at Giles, who was now shifting in his seat. I don't know why I said shuffling. "It's none of your business, but yes, we did come together, and you know that, and you all know that, so I don't know why you're insisting on making a spectacle of it." He placed an arm around my chair as if claiming me, but I smiled at the whole group. "Did he tell you about the surprise he planned for me today? It was so cute." I told them about the horse-drawn carriage as Giles continued to look uncomfortable. I could tell he was pleased with the praise, though. The corner of his mouth tugged up, and he kept squeezing my shoulder. "All right, it's almost time for food. Johnny, let's help with the plates." They both shuffled off to the kitchen, and just a minute later, plates of delicious appetizers were set on the table. I dug in without apprehension. Looking around, I realized how home I felt in this moment. Scene break. Hours later, Marie started to empty out after everyone was completely satiated and content. I gave Johnny and Aaron a hug as they headed home for the evening. Giles and I were some of the last people left, aside from a few stray guests lingering at their tables. Tonight was perfect. I squeezed his hand and he returned the gesture. It wouldn't have happened without you. A large yawn escaped me, and Giles looked at me with concern. It's getting late. We should probably get you back. I nodded my agreement. Let me say goodnight to Bev. I think that she went to the lobby to talk to some people. I'll be right here. I gestured towards my oh no, he said that, sorry. Let me go say goodnight to Bev. I think she went to the lobby to talk to some people. I'll be right here. I gestured towards my immobile ankle. I pulled out my phone for a while and waited for him. I pulled out my phone while I waited for him and saw texts from my family. I responded to their happy Thanksgiving, surprised to find that I wasn't feeling a nagging pull of homesickness. Instead, I felt grateful. Grateful to be here. Grateful to have moved. Grateful to be sitting next to a guy that I couldn't stop thinking about. Everything felt perfect. Staying was the right decision. Setting my phone down, I glanced around for Giles. He'd been gone for almost 10 minutes at this point. I spotted him near the front desk talking to Bev. His body language felt off. His arms were crossed and his brow was pinched. I wondered what they could be talking about that could sour his mood so much. I continued to stare until he finally met my eyes. Smiling, I tried to wave him over, but he just frowned at me. Weird. Giles stalked over to me, seeming in a hurry. When he got to the table, he grabbed my elbow and helped me up without warning. Whoa! I teetered a little before catching my balance. Wow. Sorry, he muttered, handing me my crutches. I raised my eyebrows at his strange attitude, but he said nothing as we made our way outside. Did you want to stay at my place since we don't have your car here? I asked once we were outside. He didn't say anything, but continued next to me for the short walk to my apartment. Internally, I debated what to say next, desperate to lift this bizarre mood he was in. I wondered what Bev had said to him. When we got to the bottom of the stairs, I limped up first with him directly behind me to ensure I didn't fall. But at the top of the staircase, I unlocked the door, and before I could go inside, Giles gently rubbed my arm and turned me so that I was facing him. I think I'm gonna go to my place. Oh, really? It might be kind of hard for me to get there on my crutches. He paused, not meeting my eyes. I'm just gonna go by myself.
Oh.
I bit my lip, not liking this turn of events. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. I'm feeling a little sick and I probably ate too much. Yeah, he does own a red flag store. You're right about that, Claire.
Yeah, no, he's a
Yeah,
little
he owns an entire store of red flags.
violent.
Yeah, harsh.
And can't communicate.
Yeah, no. Wild town.
I don't like it.
Oh, I said. I wasn't sure if I should call him out on his weak excuse or not. He finally glanced up at me and I couldn't tell if he looked angry or upset. Maybe it was both. Maybe he and Bev had had a disagreement. Maybe he wasn't ready to share the details with me yet. I let out a sigh and just decided to let it go, so I faked a smile. See you tomorrow. He nodded curtly and turned to leave. At the last moment, he spun around and brushed a quick kiss to my cheek before retreating down the steps. Wow. Wow!
Whoa.
Yikes!
Yikes. See? I told you.
My long hair fell over the thick gray sweater I had just pulled on. All I wanted to feel today was comfort, and that included my outfit. After such a magical night, I woke up this morning feeling sad. It probably had something to do with the absence of a certain someone in my bed. After days of being inseparable, I wasn't sure what had spooked him last night. I was determined to get to the bottom of it. I half expected him to already be there when I woke up, ready to help me down the stairs with coffee and an explanation, but I guess it was good to experience firsthand how Giles handled conflict. It was a rough patch. It was the first rough patch in our very short relationship. We would have to talk about this. I didn't like that he left me without... I didn't like that he just left without cluing me into his feelings at all. It made me feel like I didn't matter nearly as much to him as I thought I did. That thought caught a small pang in my heart. I tried to brush it off. He did care. Staying was the right decision. Whatever, I muttered under my breath and pulled on my parka. Before I could head down the stairs, my phone rang, and I was surprised to see Mike's name on the screen since we usually corresponded through email. What's up? I asked, picking it up. Hey, Maddie, happy holidays. The tone of his voice immediately had me on high alert. He sounded disappointed, like he was ready to deliver bad news. What is it? I cut right to the chase. A bit of bad news. I held my breath. You won't be able to stay in Key Ridge after all. What are you talking about? We worked it all out. I told you not to hire the replacement. It isn't that. I totally support your decision. Then what? This feels unfair since I know what a killer job you've done out there, but I have to tell you, I just got a call this morning letting me know that they will not be moving forward with us. My mouth hung open in shock. Well, what are you talking about? I'm so sorry, Maddie. I know how disappointed you must be, and I know there's still a few days left in the trial, but since we aren't contracted with them, you're free to head back to Florida whenever it's convenient for you. My mouth felt dry. My throat started to constrict as I processed what he was saying, and then it clicked. Bev. This must have what she was discussing with Giles last night. This is why he was so upset. This doesn't make any sense, Mike. Let me just talk to Bev. I'm sure I can sort this out. The call didn't come from Bev. Then who? My stomach dropped. It was her nephew, Giles. He called this morning. Bit of an ass, that one. Not sure how you managed to work with him out there all these past weeks. I slumped against the wall in shock.
Toxic.
How could this be happening? Why would he do this? He must have known what he was doing last night if he called Mike first thing in the morning. My shock turned into sadness. That sadness was quickly replaced by anger. I needed to speak with Giles. Now, I've got to go, Mike. I hung up before waiting to hear what else he had to say. I made it down the stairs as fast as my bad ankle would let me and turned towards the lodge, hoping to find him there. Tears pricked at my eyes and I sniffed aggressively to try to hold them back. I could not break down before I confronted him. He had to have some sort of explanation for this abrupt turn of events. Ambling as quickly as I could on my crutches, I was out almost to the back door when I hit an icy patch and I let out a squeal as my good foot slipped out from underneath me and I fell directly on my ass. Groaning, I didn't move for a moment. Maddie? What the hell? I sat up to see Giles pushing through the back door and racing to me. Before he could get to me, I scrambled to my feet and got my crutches back in place. I did not want him to have the upper hand by helping me out right now. As soon as I met his eyes, tears spilled out of mine. You really need to be more careful, he barked, reaching for my elbow. I yanked it back out of his reach and glared at him. Don't act like you care about me right now. His eyes hardened. Maddie, don't be like this. You canceled the contract. How could you do this? I shouted. I don't want to talk about the fucking contract right now. He looked frustrated, wringing his hands through his hair. I want to talk about us. We're almost done with this book and I'm unsure how we're going to resolve this so quickly. I know, we don't have very many pages left. Us? Are you serious? Last night you were acting all super weird and this morning I got a call that your family, specifically you, has decided not to sign the contract to hire my company? There can't be an us since you're obviously trying to get rid of me. I was full on crying now. His eyes darkened. Jesus, I'm trying to get rid of you? That's a convenient narrative. When were you going to tell me that they hired your replacement? I froze. I wasn't going to because you hate conflict? Because you just thought that you'd slip away without even telling me?
This
without
guy is so toxic. Insane.
You're right.
He can't communicate. He's fucking wild.
They think
What
you're
an asshole. Fuck him. This is good. I'm glad she's learning this now. Go home, Maddie. Fuck this guy. I don't like Giles.
They're all on your side.
This is insane. Dickhead. Why don't you just have a fucking conversation first before losing it, dickhead? Oh my god. This guy.
Well, good news, babe. I think you're a giant green flag. Oh, don't worry. He's telling you exactly how he really feels.
Well.
Someone joked and said, tell us how you really feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, let's continue and see what happens. They want you to know that they're all on your side. Even though you can't see the chat, they fully support you. Good. Okay. He wasn't even giving me a chance to explain. I get it. This isn't your home. It'll never be your home. I choked, trying to gulp down a sob. You don't understand, I yelled. I wasn't going to leave. You weren't? Then how come last night Bev told me your replacement was coming on Monday? I told her that he was hired, but save it, Maddie. I wasn't going to go. Whatever. His face was cold and reminded me of how we first met. We just started dating. You don't owe me anything. You don't mean that. I was right about us. We should never have started anything. Life would be a whole hell lot less complicated than whatever this is. He was just trying to hurt me now, and it was working. Screw you, Giles. Have a nice life. He crossed his arms and turned back towards the lodge. I wasn't going to leave, you idiot, I yelled at his back before he disappeared through the door. I choked on my sobs as I went back to my apartment, half expecting him to rush after me. But to my dismay, when I got to the stairs and turned around one last time, there was no sign of him. Pulling myself together, I hurried up the stairs and inside. The hysterics had passed, and now I was focused on one thing, getting the hell out of this town as quickly as possible. Yeah, it is Brittany level toxic. This guy's a nutbag.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
You really couldn't have just talked with her first? Like, it's insane.
Yeah. I grabbed my suitcase out of the closet and tore through the small apartment, collecting all my clothes and stuffing them into the bag. I hated how stupid I felt at this moment. I had somehow convinced myself that Giles and I were the start of something great, something better than I ever had before. Was I going to move to this small town and play house with him and work at the lodge? Meanwhile, he was ready to drop me at the first sign of a misunderstanding. You should have told him sooner, came the nagging voice at the back of my head. If I was being honest with myself, I hadn't made the decision to stay until a few days ago. It was a scary thought, not coming home, starting a new life here. I should have talked to Giles about it earlier. I should have been honest with him. Shaking my head, I continued to pack. It didn't matter now. Whoever's fault this was, the damage was done. Clearly, we didn't matter enough to each other to try to talk it out. And if he was the kind of person to just send me on my way without a second thought, who needed him? You do, came the small voice inside my head. No, I don't, I said aloud. Jeez. Scene break. In record time, I had managed to pack all my things. I found the next flight to Florida and drove myself to the airport. I had a while to kill before my plane left, but I couldn't sit in that apartment anymore. I felt too sad to wait there. Felt a little guilty for not saying goodbye to Bev, Aaron, or Johnny, but I was too hurt and too embarrassed to track them down. I'm sure by now the screaming fight Giles and I had in the middle of the street had made the rounds. In a small town, people talked. I couldn't face anyone now. It was better to just leave with my head hung low and my figurative tail between my legs. Just the other day, I thought I'd be calling this place my new home, and now I'd likely never come back here again. I stood and stared out at the tarmac before leaning my head against the window. The cool glass instantly soothed the headache that pulsed between my eyes. I took out my phone and typed out a short message. Maddie, I'm coming home. Mom. Oh dear. Hardcore. Are you sure you don't want to go with us to the party tonight? I looked up from my book to see my mom standing at the door to the patio that I'd left open. I'm good. Maddie, sweetie, you've been home for a week already and you've hardly left the house except to go to work, and you don't even have to go to that every day. I told you, Mike's been letting me work from home. Is that wise? Surely you'd rather go into the office than lie around here in your pajamas all day. Just because I'm wearing a sweatshirt doesn't mean I'm in pajamas. She chewed at her lip, not wanting to push me too far, as I'd already snapped at her the day before in a similar conversation. All right then, have a good night. I nodded her and returned to my book. I felt bad for being such a dismissive jerk since arriving home, but I just wasn't in the mood to put on an act. If I felt miserable, then why did I have to act differently? Work was even more challenging. I tried to put my best foot forward and made sure my mood didn't affect my performance, but everything felt different now. Before Key Ridge, I loved my job and I looked forward to solving problems and preparing presentations, and now it just didn't hold the same appeal. I hated sitting through meetings and I hated making pointless slide decks. It all felt like showboating after working on the floor of the lodge for a month. It didn't help that I could sense that Mike wasn't thrilled with my return as I expected him to be. My department apparently had got along swimmingly while I was away. They were acting as if I'd crashed their party, simply returning to my job. My phone rang and I rolled my eyes when I saw the name appear on the screen. Did Mom tell you to call? I asked without bothering the formality of a hello. She said she's worried about you, replied Frankie. I promise I'm fine. The word fine had started to sound strange to my ears after saying it so many times. Fine isn't thriving. Why do I have to thrive? Because you deserve to? I sighed deeply and shrugged my shoulders up to the phone, keeping it in place against my cheek while I removed my hand. What do you want from me? I want you to tell me what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Bullshit. You always do this when you're upset. You try to brush it under the rug and avoid talking about it, but it's written all over your actions. I know this is about Giles. I opened my mouth to deny it, but nothing came out. Instead, tears pricked at my eyes. I really liked him. I know, Frankie said, and it's okay to feel sad about it. I hesitated before dropping my bombshell on her. I was planning to stay there. Like, stay there? Uh-huh. I called it. I know. My serial monogamy tried to strike again. Oh, I'm sorry, Maddie. I know how much you liked him. I miss him, I whispered. Well, maybe there's still hope for you two. I don't see how. How much more do we have of this? All right. We can do this. We can do this. We can do
Get to the
this.
point, Maddie.
We're gonna finish it. We can finish it. Who the fuck likes giving presentations? I don't know. I do not know. Hey, Liz.
I love that our department's doing better without her.
Yikes! Yikes! Not good! Not good!
It turns out Maddie's bad at her job. I love it. Mike's like, ah, shit, she's back. She's terrible at her job. That's
One
funny.
medium latte with almond milk for Maddie. I looked up from my phone and smiled thanks at the barista who handed me my drink. Caffeine was a crutch that I'd been leaning on a lot since I returned. All of my natural perkiness had dissipated, and I was forced to drink copious amounts of coffee to try to mimic being a positive at work. I limped towards the exit. I graduated from my cast to a walking boot and one crutch. I was still not the most mobile, but it was a lot easier getting around on my own now. I didn't even take notice when a tall figure stopped directly in front of me. "Excuse me," I muttered as I tried to shove past the man. "Maddie?" The voice came out nervous and cracked, but I still recognized it. Garrett stood in front of me. His eyes were searching my face anxiously. It pained me to admit it, but he looked good. Clean cut in his favorite navy blue shirt that I had picked up at the dry cleaner countless times. He flashed me a sheepish smile that I didn't bother to return. Hi, Garrett. A month ago, running into him like this would have been a punch to the gut, but now all I felt was inconvenience and irritation that he was in my way. "What happened to your foot?" He gestured to my boot. "Snowboarding accident," I replied flatly. "Snowboarding? Seriously? I could not picture you snowboarding." "Yeah, well, clearly it didn't go very well," I deadpanned. He chuckled nervously. I blinked back at him in return, ready for this to be over. At least his bride-to-be wasn't with him. As if she could read my thoughts, Nadine opened the door and came to a shocking halt when she spotted me standing in front of Garrett. She was dressed in a tight dress that came down to her ankles, and a small bump was barely visible under the black fabric. "Oh, Maddie! What a surprise! How are you?" I wanted to roll my eyes at their horrified expressions and attempt at tact, as if there was any decorum that could be salvaged from this interaction. "I'm fantastic," I gave her a sickeningly sweet smile that dripped with sarcasm. "Great, great!" Nadine's eyes darted around the coffee shop, desperate to rid herself of the reminder that the happy ending didn't have a fairy tale beginning. "I'm going to put our orders in. It was so good to see you." She didn't even glance back at me as she sauntered to the counter. Garrett was still immobile. "Maddie, I just wanted to say, save it." I held up my hand. "But I wanted to apologize. What's done is done. I don't need your half-assed apologies. Nothing you can say now can absolve you for lying to me and wasting my time. You're a coward for not telling me sooner." He looked down at his dress shoes. "I did love you." I scoffed in disbelief that he could stand there and say that to my face. "What you felt towards me couldn't have been love, or you never would have treated me like that. I'm so sorry." "Save it," I said. "Our lives are no longer intertwined, and hopefully after this we'll never see each other again." I started to brush past him, but the dull rage inside me over his deceit compelled me to say one last thing. "Just so you know, I was happier this last 2 months without you than I ever was during our relationship." It felt good to close the door on Garrett, both literally and figuratively. Unfortunately, the joy I felt was short-lived as the hollow emptiness returned to my chest.
Got him.
Sad.
Headshot.
Coffee's making her cranky. I don't know. "Maddie, I'm so sorry to be a little tough with you, but your performance has been slipping ever since you got back." Mike looked apologetic as he relayed my poor performance review to me. "Look, I don't need to know the details, but I can tell you're working through a lot of things in your personal life." I just stared at my folded hands, willing myself not to cry in his office right now. Being the shining star at work was always my pride and joy. This was not a conversation I thought I'd ever be on the receiving end of. "I know, Mike. I've been a little scatterbrained. I promise. I'll do better." He nodded. "Look, I know you. I know you're a good worker. I'm not trying to be harsh. I just want to say something before it becomes a problem." "I completely understand." His eyes softened. "The office will be closed for the holidays next week. Take the time with your family. Don't even think about work. Hopefully you'll be able to relax and come back your normal self." "Definitely," I nodded. I wasn't sure that was possible. Ever since leaving Key Ridge, I had no idea who my normal self was anymore. Scene break. "Can I sit?" My mom approached the couch carefully. I glanced at the clock. It was 2 a.m. "I guess." I shrugged as she joined me. "What are you doing up so late?" "I could ask you the same thing," she said, nudging my shoulder. "Couldn't sleep." "I'm sure that would have nothing to do with all the coffee you've been downing." "I've just been tired lately." "Are you sure you don't mean sad?" I sighed. "Well, maybe I'm a little sad," I admitted. "Maybe you shouldn't have started a failed romance at your brand new job." Bad performance review for a burnt out high achiever is the worst. It's true.
She's on a pip.
Yeah.
It's bad news.
Yeah. "Frankie told me that you were going to stay in Colorado." I looked at her and frowned. "Yeah, it was a dumb idea." "Doesn't sound dumb to me. You seemed happy there." You know how I know? Because you texted me maybe 10 times while you were gone. Your dad and I were so worried you'd be homesick, but it seemed like you felt right in. The mom voice is making you laugh.
It's the mom voice from Back to the Future.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah, totally.
I don't know about that. Well, it seems there might be a certain guy there that was worth sticking around for. I hesitated and hugged my knees to my chest. I thought there was, I muttered. She waited for me to say more, but didn't press. You know, she finally said. She finally continued when I stayed silent. You went out there to heal from a heartbreak, but I think you came back more heartbroken than when you left. With that comment, my vision became blurry and tears started to spill out of my eyes. I leaned my head against my mom's shoulder. I thought we had something, I murmured. Maybe you still do. I shook my head. He practically asked me to leave. I recounted the whole tale of him hating me at first, us slowly becoming friends, to him taking care of me, all the way down to our downfall, which involved me almost hiring a replacement and not telling him and us screaming at each other in the streets. Oh, honey, that sounds like a bad case of miscommunication. It was horrible. She squeezed my shoulder. You two are still getting to know each other. Sometimes we don't handle confrontation with grace, but that doesn't mean that we can't try to talk and work things out. He hasn't even tried to call me since I left. Have you tried to call him? No. I bit my lip. Maybe you should start there. The next morning, I stared at my phone for hours. It was impossible to find the words to say to him after these weeks apart. What if he had completely written me off already? What if I was the only one suffering? My thumb hovered over his name in my contact list, but I couldn't bring myself to press the dial button. Get it together, Maddie. You can do this. I stood up and started pacing the living room with my phone. Taking a deep, determined breath, I braced myself to call him. The instant before my thumb brushed my phone, I jerked it back. I had a better idea. Swiping away my contacts, I pulled up the internet browser to find the next flight to Colorado.
Okay, so I thought these types of books were like fantasy books for women. So wouldn't the fantasy be that like he came crawling back? Like this is the opposite of a fantasy. It's the woman having to like this sucks. If I was a girl, I'd be like, what? This is not a good. This is not the fantasy, is it? Is this the fantasy? It can't be. He needs to realize he was wrong and that everything about him is wrong, and she's the only one that can fix him. Not the other way around. There's no fantasy here. This sucks. I'm sorry.
You're everyone's agreeing with you, honey. Don't worry.
This is insane.
Claire said this is 1,000,000% not the fantasy. And Becca said her mother pushing her towards a toxic relationship. Perfect, great parenting.
I know. This is like, even I know this one. Thank God your Hallmark book is good.
My Hallmark book
It's fantastic.
is good.
It has no toxicity like this.
No.
Wow. So she's just gonna admit she was wrong and go fix it. And just
We're about to find out.
She's gonna crawl back to him.
Literally, because she's on crutches.
Oh,
So,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Well, one crutch now, but still.
Oh, beans.
Yeah, beans. Beans. All right, here we go. I think this is the last chapter, friends. My hands shook as I stood outside. For the past 48 hours, I'd been running on nonstop adrenaline, and now that I was here in front of the lodge, I couldn't bring myself to approach the door. I wasn't even sure he'd be here, but it was my best first bet to find him. I sucked in a breath and limped forward before pausing. My ankle was starting to hurt a little from so much standing. Okay, you can do this. I took rapid breaths in and out through my nose and tried to pump myself up. Don't be a coward, Maddie. You coward!
You coward.
Shira said, one of these days I'm going to tell Secret Boyfriend about my ex-husband just to hear him yell again. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Nice.
Secret Boyfriend gets correctly incredulous. So in case you all don't know, which I don't think you do, we call Secret Boyfriend Incredulous Man. Like that's his superhero. It's Incredulous Man because he gets incredulous about injustice and he like wants to fix it so badly. That's his, yeah. Maddie, what are you doing here? My heart thumped out of my chest, hearing the voice that had been flooding my dreams since I left this place. I turned around to face him. Giles stood before me, wearing a ski resort jacket that was dusted with a fresh layer of snow. His eyes were wide with surprise. Gently, he lowered the snowboard that he'd been holding to the ground, and slowly and deliberately, he unclipped his helmet, fixing his gaze on me the whole time. My mouth hung open for a moment before I slowly closed it. All the meaningful words that I'd spent hours going over in my head instantly drifted from my mind the moment that I saw him. Hi, was all I managed to get out. Hi. He took a step towards me. I trailed off, rendered speechless by his eyes. I wanted to see how the lodge was doing. The corner of his lips twitched, and the skin by his eyes crinkled. Really? I let out a breathless laugh. Okay, you caught me. I wanted to see how you were doing. He tilted his head. I've been better. Yeah? He nodded. It was a lot better a few weeks ago. Relief flooded through my veins. You were? He smiled and his head nodded. What are you doing here, Maddie? I told you. He shook his head, his eyes asking for more. I missed you, I choked out. I'm sorry about our fight. He closed the small gap between us and crushed me to his chest, lifting my feet slightly off the ground. I'm so sorry, he whispered into my hair. I'm so sorry. I should have talked to you sooner. I should have given you a chance to explain. The last thing I wanted was for you to leave, and I thought maybe it felt like I was changing your mind or something. And when Bev told me about your replacement, I just saw red and I acted like an idiot. I wasn't going to leave, I said. He grimaced. I fucked this all up. I should have been honest with you. He leaned down and his lips brushed mine softly. His fingers tangled in my hair, and after a minute he released my mouth and kissed my forehead. The night after our fight, I realized how stupid I was being. I went to your apartment, but you were already gone. He looked pained at the memory. I didn't exactly want to stick around after that, I admitted. Yeah, I figured as much. I tightened my arms around his torso and inhaled his scent that I missed so much. Why didn't you call me? I whispered. Thought you were done with me. I thought you were done with me. He laughed. Not even close. Releasing me, he took one hand and pulled his phone out of his pocket. My brow knit in confusion as he scrolled for a moment before turning the screen towards me. I leaned in closer to see what he was showing me. It was a confirmation for a flight to Orlando arriving on Christmas Eve. Tears welled up in my eyes. You were going to come see me? He chuckled. I thought maybe if I made a grand gesture at Christmas, you might be more willing to give me a second chance. You love those movies after all. My cheeks hurt from grinning so hard. So you're not done with me then? I asked, pinching his side. Definitely not. He kissed my forehead, but we should probably work on our communication skills if this relationship is going to go anywhere. Can't have you catching a flight every time that I mess up, because let's be honest, it's going to happen again. I think that could be arranged. He glanced down at the carry-on suitcase that sat forgotten next to me. Is that all you brought? He asked. I nodded. I wasn't exactly sure how this was going to go. He grabbed my suitcase and slid his other hand around my waist, leading me towards the entrance of the lodge. That's all right. We can get you the rest of your stuff in the next few days. I'll come home with you to meet your parents for Christmas. My eyebrow shot up. The rest of my stuff? Well, you're staying here, aren't you? You definitely want that? He shrugged. The lodge has been kind of a mess without you. I shoved him in the side, causing him to laugh. Yes, Florida, I want you to stay here. I'm kind of grumpy and an asshole when you're not around. I beamed up at him before pausing in our tracks. Wait, you want to meet my parents? He smirked. Well, I do already have a ticket. Becca said, yeah, well, I'm done with both of you. Does that count?
He admitted that he's going to stay toxic and he has no... he's not going to try to change at all.
Epilogue. We have reached the conclusion, friends. We are here. Are you ready? Is everyone ready? Can you handle the epilogue?
Baby. Or what do you think?
I don't know. The sound of the car horn blared outside. Geez, I'm coming, I yelled as I exited the front door of Giles' blue bungalow. Technically, I still lived in the apartment above Bev's garage, but I spent 90% of my time here. Eventually, I'd move in, but it had really only been 7 months since I relocated to Key Ridge permanently. I skipped down the driveway, grateful that my ankle injury left no permanent damage. Giles was even trying to convince me to get back on the ski hill next season. I will not take my eyes off you this time, he promised. I raced the rest of the distance to the passenger side door of Erin's blue Jeep and climbed inside. Took you long enough, she said before throwing it into drive and taking off down the street. What's the hurry? It's not like the hike is going to go anywhere, I teased. She glanced at me and back to the road before letting out a fake laugh. Totally, I know. I don't want the parking lot to fill up. I raised my eyebrow. We always went hiking together on Sunday mornings, and she was just being a little jumpy today for some reason. I know what it is. Coffee? I offered her my travel mug. She shook her head. I'm good. I'm already feeling jittery. I can see that, weirdo. She ignored me and turned up the radio. The throwback Taylor song distracted me and had us both belting out lyrics at the top of our lungs out the open window. Gravel crunched underneath the wheels as Erin pulled up into an almost empty parking lot. Good thing you rushed us. It's packed. Erin laughed awkwardly before jumping out of the car and walking straight to the trail ahead. Come on, let's get moving. My forehead crinkled in confusion as I raced to catch up to her. The hike that she had picked this week was a short one, just 1 mile up the hill with an amazing view at the end. You could see the ski hill and the entire town. Normally we chatted while we hiked, but today Erin was walking so fast that I was out of breath trying to keep up with her. You're really on something today, I huffed as we neared the top. Taking a few more steps, we reached the short summit. I put my hands over my head to catch my breath and take in the view. Shit, Maddie. I dropped my water ball a little ways back down the hill. I'm just gonna go grab it. I'll be right back. Wait, you can have some of mine, I called after her, but she was already gone. Weird, I muttered and continued to stare at the peaceful view. Moments later, I heard footsteps behind me. Find it? I turned around to find Giles standing there instead of Aaron. My face broke out into a grin. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the lodge? He ran his hands through his hair and he took a few steps towards me. He looked nervous. My eyebrows knit in confusion. Is everything all right? He didn't respond. Instead, he grabbed my hands in his and stared down at me. Maddie. Giles. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. He smiled shyly before taking a deep breath. These past 7 months have been amazing, and I know I wasn't the easiest person to get along with when you first came around, but you were so damn persistent in getting to know me, and now I feel like I've known you my whole life, and I can't even remember how I functioned before I met you. I love you so fucking much, and I want you around like all the time. He smiled and slowly lowered himself onto one knee, taking one of his hands from mine and reaching into his back pocket. Oh my God. My mouth hung open in shock as I registered what was happening. He smiled and squeezed my hand. You make me a way less insufferable person, and I hope that I bring you even a fraction of the happiness that you bring me. The muscles in his throat tightened as he gulped and opened the black velvet box that he was holding. Maddie, will you marry me? The tears streamed down my face. Completely speechless, I nodded my head before launching myself into his arms. Is that a yes? He laughed as we tumbled to the ground. Yes, yes, yes. I pressed my lips to his, giddy with happiness, finally finding my forever. That's it. It's the whole thing.
Da, 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 da.
To his credit, he didn't make her wait 8 years and cheat on her. True.
Well,
Beige flag?
I can't wait for Key Ridge 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Well, we have completed it, and tomorrow we move on to Land of Stories, Book 5. Yeah, I know, Shelley, I know.
What?
I don't want to say it on the recording. I'll tell you after.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just be gentle. We'll just, yeah. Key Ridge 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's right. So anyway, I'm gonna get to work. If you all haven't seen, I posted a new slime yesterday.
Peach Fuzz. It's beautiful.
Is that true, Nikki? Really? Which one did you read? Peach Fuzz does look great. I might make Reptar cereal today. I don't know. Got to get started on. Oh, you read Comfort Zone? I got to make slime today, like a lot of slime, and I got to make some customs. And I'm gonna mail all the new. There were over the holiday break. There were new grab bag people, and I need to mail those people's stuff today. And then. Oh, I also need to order jars today so that Cher can go pick those up. Yes, you're right, Tressa. I need to do that. Yes, that is on my list of things to do today as well. Yes. So today, here, really quickly, if you're on Patreon and you have not voted in the polls that I posted before Christmas, please go vote now, because the amount of each slime that I'm making is based on those polls. So the way to ensure that you get the slime that you want is just voting in that poll, right? Because if you don't vote that you want the slime, I don't know to make the slime for you. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yes, we have trauma bonded. That's true. We're all trauma bonded over this book. Welcome to, if anyone is new here, we're starting a new book tomorrow. Which way are you going, Becca? Becca, we can figure out whatever you need. Becca, you can literally do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You already know I'm getting, yeah, but that's separate, Shelly, because you're getting them from something else. I'll be back on Patreon this Friday. Amazing. I will, Julia. I'll check DMs whenever I can. You need more polls? Yeah, there might be a few more polls coming up, but I wanted to get started with those. I just came to lurk. I missed the whole book. You know what? I got to tell you, sweetheart, I think you're going to be okay.
Well, before the next, you should do a recap before the next book.
Would you like to give a 3-sentence recap of the whole book for her?
I'll give it one word.
Okay.
2 words.
Go ahead.
Toxic relationship.
Oh, no.
No, toxic snowboarding relationship.
Oh no.
No, I mean,
Yeah. So tomorrow, and this I'm saying this to Liz also because I know Liz and her kids listen to the books together, which is fun. They listen to Land of Stories specifically. Land of Stories resumes again tomorrow. And guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but like I'm pretty sure next week is our anniversary. Like it's our book club 1 year anniversary. I think it's next week. I'm pretty sure we started the second week of January. I'll go back and look to be sure. Oh my gosh, you should totally play with it, Valerie. I bet it's a little bit sticky. Yeah, I think we're hitting our anniversary, folks, and I think Land of Stories book 5 is the perfect book to be reading at our anniversary. It was probably our most loved series of last year, right? I mean, for me anyway. Finding Land of Stories last year was the best book thing that happened to me in like the last 7 or 8 years, if not more. It's true, Tressa. That's exactly true. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed my reading. And if anyone, I think we have some new people on here right now. So if any of you don't know, I also just wrote a book. It's in editing right now, and hopefully it's going to be coming out next month. So if you like non-toxic romance novels, maybe you'll like mine. That's okay. So, there are recaps of all of the previous readings on my YouTube. If anyone doesn't know, I do have a YouTube where I post the book club lives for anyone who misses them. It is just Rainbow Slime Girl on YouTube, and I have playlists for the different books, so you can choose which one you want to listen to. Land of Stories is one playlist. It's all of Land of Stories, and then there's like, you know, other stuff. Merry Little Meet Cute was great. That was a great book, Valerie. I have to say, I loved that one. I thought that those authors did a bang-up job. Like, if I can do, if my characters are as engaging as their characters will, I will consider myself having done a good job. I was instantly interested in those characters. I was instantly invested in all of them, even the minor characters. Like, I loved everyone in that book. You were rooting for everyone. There was no random villain, because it's a real life. Like it's not a fantasy novel, so there's not like a dragon or a bad guy, but like there were situations that you were against, but like not a person. Yeah, Circus Train was amazing. That one did leave a good mark. But Merry Little Meet Cute, even though Christmas is over, I highly recommend Merry Little Meet Cute to anyone who likes Becca, Emma. Anyone who likes romance, I highly recommend Merry Little Meet Cute. And yeah, I also loved Circus Train. Circus Train was a great book. That was one of our really early ones. That I feel like that was February or March of last year, right? Anyway, Secret Boyfriend is actually doing one of his readings of my book today to get, because we're in editing, but he's also working on the cover. Yeah, isn't that exciting? He's looking at that cover right now with a critical eye of an artist. But you know, I can't wait to show you all the cover that he's been working on. It's really cute, really cute. He does a great job. Yeah, it'll be really fun. My dearest hope is that I can have the book out before Valentine's Day, because I think it would be a fun, like, I know that a lot of people who follow me, like, their partners also pay attention, and so maybe some of your partners will buy you my book for Valentine's Day, because it's not toxic, and that would be like a sweet Valentine's Day gift, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, this shirt was Secret Boyfriend's shirt, and he didn't like it, so he gives it to me to sleep in. and then he decided he also hated the feeling of it and banned me from ever sleeping in it. It's true.
Not my fault.
He was like, it feels rough, don't do it.
It is a very rough shirt.
It doesn't bother me. Yeah, we're going to do pre-order for books. Yeah, and they're going to be on Amazon, but I'm going to do, so the Amazon ones will have pre-order, but we'll also have pre-order for signed copies of the book, because, oh my gosh, they wanted you to know that they love the new slime room decor, and they think it's really cool. Yeah, he did a great job with that. We're also, so, you know, like, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, a lot of the TikTok authors will have like cute little like book extras if you buy it on TikTok instead of on Amazon. So I'll take a poll of like what kind of book merch everybody likes and would want to come with their book. We'll figure that out. Like, do you like really cool bookmarks that are made from the cover art? Obviously, signed copies are not going to cost me extra because that doesn't cost me anything extra. But if people want like fun book merch with it, we can work something like that out as well. And I know people are going to ask, so yes, it will be available on Kindle. So if you're a Kindle person and you just want to get it that way, no problem. It's definitely going to be available that way. And then I will work on the audiobooks after that. So that is what we're going to do. And I think if anyone is in book club, I think that I am going to do funny book signings. Like if it's a random person who I don't know, I'll just sign it like regular. But if it's somebody from book club, I might put funny messages in there. You're getting both versions? Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah, they are vinyl. Yeah, and he drew them. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, they're super cool. So anyway, we're gonna go eat breakfast and then get to work because I have a lot of slime to make for you all, customs, otherwise, all of the above. And yeah, I'm thinking Valentine's Day this year. Yeah. I'm hoping to get it done before then so that it could be delivered before Valentine's Day if you order it. Like I would like to have it released by the beginning of February so that could happen. I have no partner to buy me V-Day, but yeah, buy it for yourself. You also have a lot of rest to do. Yeah, thank you, Taylor. Taylor, I have to reorder those snakes because I don't know where the heck they went. I ordered snakes for your son and they're gone. So I'm gonna order new snakes because I do not know where they are in the mail. Missing snakes is what happened. It's very strange. I got literally metallic little mini snakes. They were so cute, which isn't something I usually say about snakes, but since it's for Slytherin.
Sure they're not just in the wrong storage thing?
No, they haven't come yet in the mail.
Oh.
Like they're missing in the mail.
Oh, I see.
You are not buying 10 copies of my book, Shelley. You don't need to buy 10 copies. Here, this is what I know you all want to be supportive, but rather than buying 10 copies, make 10 more people read it. Well, unless you're giving them as gifts. If you're buying 10 copies to give as gifts, that I swear. Actually, what I did want to say, because I told this to Secret Boyfriend's mom and all them, like, it is the type of book that you could not only gift to like your girlfriends, but you could also gift to like your mom. It's not so spicy that you can't gift it to your mom. Like moms can read it without embarrassment. Like you could give it to your mother-in-law or whatever, you know, with no embarrassment whatsoever. So that is true, actually. And I hope that I hope that it will be the type of book that people will read together for fun. I have the glow-in-the-dark ones from Michael's if you need me to send. Wait, you got glow-in-the-dark snakes at Michael's? Tell me more. I'll just go to Michael's and buy them rather than ordering them online. What section are they in, Valerie? I'll just go today. I can do that. Oh, Becca. I'm sorry. I wouldn't give it to my mom even if it was spicy. We just wouldn't talk about it. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Halloween leftovers. Okay, I'll go look. Goal is to get both my Ohio book clubs to read it. That would be amazing. Well, you kind of have to, right, Liz? Because they've been following Secret Boyfriend and my story for too long. Not that, I mean, this book doesn't have anything to do with us, but since we made it, maybe they want to read it. Okay, so anyway, that is what's going on. Thank you all for hanging out for Key Ridge, and we will Land of Stories tomorrow. Maybe we will be on later to make slime. There is a solid possibility I will be on to make slime later, and you will get to see the new slime room stuff live. It's pretty funny on live. We set it up to be pretty entertaining, so hopefully you'll enjoy it, and we'll see you all later. Bye, guys. Oh, really? That's amazing, Jen. I love that.